I mean, it might just be me, but I feel like the food was much better back in the 90s. Like, the only thing that's different for me is butter. When I was a kid, I'd stick my whole fucking finger in the butter and eat it. Now, you'll never catch me doing that. Like, I don't really fuck with butter. That's the only thing I could say, like, taste buds have changed. And maybe that's not even true. That might just be they took something out of it or added some new shit to it that I don't fuck with. Cause I know now Sprite don't even taste the same. Hot Cheetos and Doritos don't taste the same. It seems like really M&M's the only thing that still tastes the same. Cause my mom will eat the fuck out some M&M's. Like, she kill everybody M&M's and be like, oh, I gotta get you some more when I gotta go out. So I'm just like, you know, back in the day, shit. Even McDonald's was better. You couldn't pay me to eat McDonald's, like, for real, for real. I mean, if they gave me an endorsement, I would only eat, like, the chicken nuggets, chicken sandwich, a little breakfast. Like, the beef, shit, no. But when I was a kid, man, I used to love McDonald's. That's really, like, the only place I wanted to eat. Of course, with the Happy Meals and the toys and all that shit, but, like, it was genuinely good back then. And then, as I got older, like, I was like, oh, hell no, like, this shit is nasty. You know what I mean? But anybody else who fuck with McDonald's, you know what I'm saying? I ain't saying this to, you know what I'm saying, change your view on it or anything, but I just know back in the 90s, all that shit tasted better, you know what I mean? And look at, like, the food we eat, like, you know, you go to the grocery store and buy and all that shit, you know, it didn't have all the hormones in it and steroids and all that shit in it. Like, I look at some kids, and they're only 4, but they look 8, and I'm like, you're not supposed to be this big. I look at their parents are not tall, so it's like what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just this new food, man. And you know what I'm saying, food in the 90s was so much better, it was healthier, you know what I mean? I know everybody doing their health shit now and shit, but I mean, it was still better in the 90s though. Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, Sega Genesis, Sega Saturn, Sega Dreamcast, PlayStation. All the video game systems we had in the 90s. Fucking Spyro the Dragon, Crash Bandicoot, Jet Moto, Jersey Devil, PlayStation Classics. On Super Nintendo, what we had? All the Marios, because they came over. Mario Kart. Had Aladdin, Lion King, Jungle Book, all the Disney movies that was out back then in that time frame on there. Had all the Ninja Turtle games. That Turtles 4, when they travel in time, man. Then, on Nintendo 64, everybody knows what's either the greatest game or like the top 3. Not even top 5, top 3. Y'all should already know what I'm gonna say. So I give y'all a few seconds to see if y'all can say it before I say it. 007 GoldenEye. When you hook up them 4 controllers and everybody playing, niggas couldn't fuck with me in the temple, because I find the gold gun and get on that ass. Everywhere else, I was trash or I was okay. But in the tunnel, I mean, not the, in the tunnel, yeah, the tunnel. It was the tunnel, right? Yeah. No, the temple. Yeah. In the temple, I was the truth, because I know exactly where that gold gun at. It was a wrap. Smash Brothers, man, that was the game. It'd be 4 of us playing, I remember perfectly. And we would just play that shit for hours, because I went to private school, so we was able to bring that shit up there, and after school we were playing and shit. It was a wrap. Goddamn. On Sega, of course, Sonic, Mega Man. I can't remember that green dude. It was kind of like one of them type of games. Then Streets of Rage, of course, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. Who could ever forget that? And I know now, like, the fighting games seem better, and that's just because it's graphic and more details, but I like the older games better. I still play my Super Nintendo. Then on Dreamcast, Crazy Taxi. Then the new Sonic, when the whale's chasing you. Don't nothing compare to that shit. Like, all the new games, you can have that shit. Like, they just built on theatrics and, like, the effects. It ain't nothing really to it. It's just, that's it. So I'm always fuck with my 90s games over today's games and shit like that. I really wish there was some kind of way that today's kids could battle the kids of the 90s in everything and just see how they get dusted off the map as a whole. Because I know there are some kids today that you can't really tell, like, okay, they're insufficient and, you know, compared to like 90s kids and shit. And there's 90s kids that would definitely get their ass drugged by today's kids. But just as a whole, I mean, as far as everything, like fending for yourself, you know, cooking, playing outside, working electronics that aren't necessarily a smartphone, and just, you know, little shit like that. Like, my 8-year-old nephew came over and he couldn't even work the Sega. Now, I get all they got is PlayStation, Xbox, it's a disc, just put it in. I mean, clearly it's a cartridge and you just put it in there. Like, I shouldn't have had to put it in for him. Like, they just insufficient these days. I mean, I don't know what you millennial parents have done, but come on now. Like, my homegirl tell me she had to do her daughter's PowerPoint. She should know how to do it. Like, ain't nobody help me with mine. Like, I didn't ask my parents to help me. First of all, my mom don't know shit about computers anyway. And my dad know everything, but I still never asked him. Like, I just figured it out on my own. Like, it just seemed like we just always knew how to do it. I mean, like, shit, we set the recorders to record. I mean, today's kids will never know about that shit, because all they got is what? A DVR, hit a button. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything is just so at their fingertips, and they don't really know how to do shit. Like, my niece, she burned the kitchen down if you put her in there. Like, now you know, when we got hungry, what we do? We was in that kitchen, we was doing what we needed to do. Like, whatever the case may have been, you know what I mean? So, I just really wish there was some kind of way we could battle them, you know what I'm saying? And like, even when it comes to like discipline, we handled that shit much better. I mean, I couldn't even tell you all the people I got a whooping from growing up, because that's just what it was. Like, and today, if somebody that's not either mom, dad, grandma, or, you know, family or whatever, if they, you know what I'm saying, discipline, I'm not even on no, you know, no extra shit, just on some, they just got a little pop. Y'all ready to fight? Like, you know, you got your ass beat by everybody, so like, why y'all so quick to coddle these kids? Like, y'all just making it worse for them as they get older. And that's why 90s kids will always be the best and always be more sufficient than these kids today. Fashion in the 90s was, woo! Why you think everybody always do these 90s parties? Like, motherfuckers who didn't even dress in the 90s be like, oh, we having a 90s party. And what they go do? What the women go do? They go look up Clueless and shit like that. And then they dress like them. Fashion in the 90s was just the best. Like, now, I don't even really give a fuck about dressing, to be honest. Like, I'll throw on like a graphic tee, a hat to match, and some shoes to match. Like, either blue jeans, black jeans, or some joggers, like some gray joggers. Like, that's what fashion is to me. Like, dudes just dress like women, and they're not even gay. Like, it be straight dudes, and they dress with like all this tight shit on. Like, I'm not wearing nothing tight, and I mean, if that's your thing, that's your thing. But just as men, why do you have all this tight shit on? Like, that doesn't really add up to me, you know what I mean? Like, if that's what you want to do, then cool. Now, fitted, I'm good with fitted. I mean, you know, once you get a certain age, you shouldn't be sagging and all that shit. You know what I mean? And damn what it mean and what it come from, all that shit. Like, nobody cares about all that. But, like, the overalls popping. You could either have both straps down or just one, or you could wear them both up. You know what I mean? Like the graffiti shit and like just all that type of shit. You know, what else? Oh, of course, the saggy jeans with the Timbs and the hoodie, like that was popping too. Like, just everything as far as fashion went back in the 90s is so much better than now. And like through about, I would say, up till maybe 2006 when it started changing, because that whole jersey and saggy jeans with the hat, that shit was popping too. I ain't gonna stunt with that. Once like the white tees came in, and then that's when niggas started wearing like the blazers with the jeans. Miss me with all that. I ain't a killer, but don't push me. Revenge is like the sweetest joy next to getting pussy. That's some of the hardest bars right there. Not only in the 90s, but period. And nobody could tell me that there's any better music than the 90s as a whole, point blank period. It was substance. Niggas was actually talking about something. I listen to music now and I'd be like, wait, what? Like, that's really what he just said? Like, huh? I mean, R&B, I don't even know what the fuck that is now. I mean, where are any groups at? Just like any rap groups. Like 5 niggas or more. Even 4. Where the R&B groups at? Like, even, I mean, I don't even listen to like country. I've never listened to country. I've listened to pop. I mean, like NSYNC and all of that, Backstreet Boys. I mean, I guess One Direction would be the new, but I never even, nah. So like, where are all the white boy groups at? Like, it just seemed like once 2006 hit, all that shit was dead. So ain't no rap groups, ain't no R&B groups, no white boy band groups. Ain't even no female groups. Where the female groups at? No female R&B singer groups, none of that. I mean, Pussycat Dolls is like the last thing that I can remember. You know what I mean? They had a good run and shit, but music was just so much better back in the 90s. For all of those reasons I just stated, I mean, I really literally can't think of any rap group now. I guess what, Odd Future, ASAP Mob, I mean, are those really groups though? It just seemed like a whole bunch of solo artists that just kind of came together type thing. I don't know. White boy groups? Any? Other than One Direction? Any female groups? No? Yeah. I ain't got none either. Music in the 90s was popping, had all that. Drew Hill, Jagged Edge, Jodeci, fucking 112. You know what I'm saying? Then Cisco broke off and did his thing from Drew Hill and shit. Had really just one good album, you know what I mean? But hey, that album right there, whoo, that was that shit. You know what I mean? R&B in the 90s was so much better, just like solo male artists, you know what I mean? It was more about love making and not sex like today. And you can see how our male R&B artists that were out back then, if they're still relevant now, like they've kind of switched over and they didn't stay true to their craft. They just talk about sex now, in a sense. You know, I miss that 90s rap music, 90s R&B music, and 90s pop music. I miss all that, man. 90s. Back in the day, working at Delta, OG told me the money was great. Before Bush got in there and fucked it all up with them planes, shit, them niggas was making good money. I mean, coming in, we was only making $9.12. Like, you think working at an airline, you would be making, I mean, realistically, at least double digits. I mean, of course you're not gonna get triple digits, but I mean, even if you think maybe like 15, 16, somewhere in there, I mean, even 10, 11, 12 working at a fucking airline and Delta, which is the #1 airline, you will be making more coming in. I mean, of course, you ground entry, whatever, at the bottom, $9.12 though. I'm gonna just tell y'all all the shit we had to do. So if you're a ramp agent, you had to load and unload the planes. Now, the plane is only so big with all them fucking bags, so that means you gotta stack that shit in there tight. And when we was training, they was like, you gotta put this shit in there tight. Unloading is easy as fuck, cause I mean, shit, you just unloading. I mean, that shit get tiring, you know what I'm saying? No, they when you gotta go in for it, they make you do a little physical test and shit. I know motherfuckers who failed that shit, cause that shit ain't no joke. And I mean, of course, if you keep doing the same thing over and over, your muscle gonna start getting tired, you know what I mean? So just 912 though for like Delta, like come on, kid, like that shit is crazy. And I could imagine like in the 90s, before that 9/11 shit happened, them niggas was out there making good money. You know what I mean? I just feel like even as just like someone common, you know what I mean, like not wanting to do nothing like money wise. When I say that, like rapping and acting and shit like that, the money just seemed better, you know what I mean, if you just want to have like a regular life or whatever, you know what I mean. Like, of course, you probably hear me saying like the money probably better now, but that shit's only better for like athletes, because we all know Jordan was grossly underpaid. You know, you look at Joe Johnson got like what, 120. Like, how does that shit even match up? It doesn't. Of course, for like athletes and rappers and actors and all that shit, the money is great. But it was great back then, you know what I mean? So, like, yeah, it's more now because it's more shit. But I'm just talking about just, like, at the lowest level, you know what I mean? Of course, it's always going to be poverty and shit like that. But if you going to actually get out there and work and do something, back then the money was better. Like, now, like they say, they're going to hire the minimum wage to 15. Where? I just applied to another job. They were like, yeah, we starting off at, like, $8.50. What am I supposed to do with $8.50? What is that? Like, come on, that's not even gas money. Like, fuck out of here, you know what I mean? But I don't know, man. I remember seeing this meme of like all the men from the 90s. It was like you know, Different World and Martin, Fresh Prince, and different movies, you know what I'm saying, just different black men in that time frame. And I had sent it to my homegirl. She was just like, damn, I'm glad I wasn't an adult back then, because she would have been hemmed up, you know what I'm saying? Because it was just, every picture, every dude had a different style. And I just feel like if you did that now, it wouldn't be that many different styles. I mean, you could go to any group of niggas and all of them got the same hairstyle. They got that bullshit temp fade right here with the nappy head. And of course you got all your dreadheads. But that's really it. You know, in the 90s, they had so many different hairstyles, and every dude had their own style and how they dress and shit, you know what I mean? In one crew, you would have, like, the thug look or whatever, like the baggy jeans and the hoodie or whatever, or the rough, rugged look, whatever you want to call it. Then you have, like, your more casual, you know, the nigga who wear the nice-ass button-up tucked in his jeans. And then, you know, you just have a whole bunch of different styles like in one crew. Nowadays, everybody dressed the same in one crew, so it's like there's no individuality far as like from the eyesight when you look at it, compared to like back then with the fashion and shit like that, you know what I mean? And just the different individuality and shit. Like, you know, nowadays it's like niggas are scared to just do whatever they want to do, like just dress how they really want to dress, you know what I mean? Like, instead of just, that's how you want to dress, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying, you know what I'm saying, that's the case all the way, but you can see that in certain cases, you know what I'm saying? I mean, of course you got a lot of niggas out here wearing shit that's just like, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, that's his style, that's his style. But, you know what I'm saying, you get where I'm going with this shit, you know what I'm saying? I've always wished I could be an adult in the 90s. For Freaknik, and just the whole atmosphere of the 90s, and of course the women. Like, I just feel like women were more hoes back then. And, you know, not to say that hoes ain't hoes now, but it's just different, you know what I mean? Like, I remember one night, me and my man, we was valet parking. That was our job and shit. And there was something going on downtown, because that's where we valeted and shit. And we seen some women walking and shit. And then, you know what I'm saying, he was in a bullshit car, you know how it go. And we just like, where y'all going, to come with us or whatever? You know what I'm saying? They like, nah, keep it pushing, bye, all that shit. And I was like, man, if this was the 90s, they would have all hopped in, bro, and we would have been on. And then he would just laugh, and he was like, you right, because that's just what it was. Like, you look at all the videos from back in the day, when it was the 90s, and just see how the women act then, opposed to how they act now. Like, niggas who didn't have shit. Like, look at all the niggas that filming shit at Freaknik. I mean, how many of them really were rappers and shit? Not many. It was regular niggas going down there getting it in from all over wherever they came from. Nowadays, when you see women wilding and shit, they be with some rich nigga. They be with some famous nigga. And I know, like, the little Miami shit that just passed had women wilding and shit like that. But that's just one weekend. Back then, that shit was, like, every fucking weekend. That's why it's, like, women with so many kids. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of y'all got a lot of siblings because of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Niggas with, like, hella kids because of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the women just look better back then too. Like natural women. Like everybody was, for the most part, was natural. And they just look so much better. Like women now as a whole, they do not look better than women back then as a whole. Like my homegirl sent me pictures of women. I'd be like, oh, she got a nice fake ass. Like they did a great job. Or I'd be like, oh, she got some nice fake tits. Cause I don't like that shit. You know what I mean? Like, I like a natural woman. I want to see the stretch marks. All that. If you got a little pudge, like, hey, that's cool with me. Like, I ain't tripping. You know what I mean? Like, unless your mom has fake tits or fake ass, I don't know how, as a man how you can even want that. Because from my understanding, as a man, you go for a woman that's like your mom. Because that's the first woman you fell in love with. Same with women. That's why black women who have white dads end up with a white man for the most part. And black men who have a white mom end up with a white woman for the most part. Like that's just the way it goes. So, you know, looking at it now, these women who got this fake ass and these fake tits, I'm like, nah, bro, I'm good on that. Like, I want something natural. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool to kind of like look at it like, damn, okay. But then when you really look at it for too long, you be like, oh, that's fake. Like, nah, you good. I'm good. Am I the only one that just misses watching cartoons all day? And I mean, like, just being able to flip to a channel that has cartoons and being able to just watch it all. And not when it's, like, on some throwback shit. You know what I mean? Like, you know, they do that a couple hours at night or whatever. But, like, I miss this squad. You know what I mean? And, you know, I don't even know if that squad is the best squad. I mean, Cartoon Network squad had a lineup too. Disney had a lineup. Fox had a lineup. You know, even MTV had a lineup. You know what I mean? I think if you did like a vote, probably this squad would win. Or Cartoon Network squad would win. But just cartoons, movies, and television as a whole was so much better back in the 90s. I mean, think of like Batman in the 90s. Like, that's the real Batman to me. You know what I mean? Like, I know Batman movies that came out before then, but like, those are real Batman movies. And you look at the ones now, but they're just theatrical. Like, it's all about the action. There ain't no real storyline to it. It's like, that shit can't compare to like the ones in the 90s, because the 90s had the storyline to it, and it had some action. You know what I'm saying? I can't knock the new ones as far as action, because like, the shit is amazing. You know what I mean? And, you know, but it's like that's all they really focus on. There's no real storyline to it. Like the TMNT movies, the new ones storyline wise are fucking trash. Like the first one they put out with Megan Fox, trash story mode wise. That's why they had to like flip it and fix it in the second one. And it's like the second one should have been the real first one. Like they finally put Krang in the movie, Bebop, Rocksteady, because they knew they fucked up. But like the first three in the 90s, shit, them shits were the fucking truth. And I mean, I get it wasn't that like the action, because like, you know, in the 90s you had to just work with what you was given with, opposed to what you got now. In television, Martin, Fresh Prince, Family Matters. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And I only named 3 fucking shows. I mean, can you name me any shows today that can compare to that? And not that it should, like, it should be better, you know, because those are classics. But as time goes on and we evolve and we get smarter and all of this shit, we should have some shows that could fuck with it. I mean, like, if you put like all the shows out on the table or whatever, and it was like, what you want to watch? How many of us are gonna pick something from the 90s? And we've seen it 1,000 times, but just cause it's just better. Like, nothing can compare to that shit. You know what I mean? Like, and now look how many fucking reboots we getting. Cause why? It's like you want to rekindle that 90s magic. Like, the shit today is just like, like, it's alright. Like, you got some shows here and there, but like as a whole, that shit can't even fucking compare. And don't even get me started on the cartoons today. Like, does MTV even play any cartoons? Do they have any cartoons? Like, I know, not lately or recently, but in this time frame, I seen Futurama on MTV. Like, they be showing, you know, old cartoons. Like, they don't even have any cartoons out. Like, MTV, holla at me. I got some ideas for a cartoon show. But, yeah, y'all producers and writers, y'all gotta get that shit together. Like, stop all this rebooting. You know, leave that 90s shit alone. Let it be classic. Let it be timeless. Y'all too smart to be doing reboots. Y'all can come up with some new shit that we ain't never seen before. You know what I mean? I guess y'all smart enough. I don't know. Y'all might be dumb. But when I tell y'all I missed the fuck out of all the computer games my dad put on the computer back in the day when I was a kid, even the educational ones. Like, there was this one game, it was like a parrot or like a toucan or something, and you had to add, and like the fruit would drop and shit. That's really the only one I can remember. But, well, as far as the educational games, then we had fucking Doom. It was a Star Wars game where you would shoot up all the niggas in the white, whatever the fuck they call. I don't watch Star Wars, so I wouldn't know. Whatever the fuck they called. It was Ski Free. That game was so lit. And I remember in middle school we used to have Snowcraft, and that's like this snowball fighting game, and you only get 3 niggas. Once you get to like level 4, it'd be like 12, and it just gets more and more and more and more and more. And it's like, damn, can I get some help? Like, what the fuck? So you gotta like try to hide the niggas so they don't get hit. Then them niggas start getting smart over there, and they come get them niggas, and it be a wrap. But it's so fun. Look it up. You can play it. But I don't even know anybody who has a computer unless they're in school or it's for their work. And I know, like, back in the day, like, the graphics wasn't all that and shit, but having a computer back then, especially as far as the games, was so much better because everybody just plays games on their phones. Like, nobody plays games on a computer. And, you know, I can't even remember the last time I did a PowerPoint. Like, I know I didn't go to college or anything, but, you know, doing PowerPoints was so fun growing up. And just always playing solitaire and shit like that. Like, I don't even play that shit on the computer now. Like, and it's on there, but I just play that shit on my phone. You know what I mean? Like, phones took computers away. Unless you're in school, you got to type all them papers, or you do something for your job. You know what I mean? That you have to have a computer. But as far as like all the games and shit, and just having a computer, like, that shit dead. Like, we got one. You know what I'm saying? Just cause, you know, but I don't even really be on that shit. I just do everything on my fucking phone. But I do miss them games, though. I need to try to find them and bring them back. But other than that, man, shit is a wrap for a computer these days.